Hello and welcome to Field Underwriting 101 at LFS. In this video, we're going to walk you through the questions you need to ask your client to make sure that you're accurately assessing them when out in the field. In getting started, you're going to want to collect the big five, and by that we mean a full name, full date of birth and not just age. This is important because many carriers use age nearest to determine how old a client is. What that means is 6 months prior to your client's birthday, they become a year older at that carrier. So that's why it's vital to collect a full date of birth and not just age. After that, you'll want to collect gender, build, and tobacco usage. When it comes to tobacco usage, you don't want to ask your client, do you smoke or do you smoke cigarettes? What you want to ask is, do you now or have you ever used tobacco in any form? This is very important because there are carriers who can offer non-tobacco rates to a client who uses tobacco in a form other than cigarettes. You'll also want to ask about marijuana use. Does your client now or have they ever used marijuana in any form? If so, is it recreational or medicinal? And how much and how often do they use it? If your client is a former user of either of these things, find out the last time they used either of them. With build, you'll want to collect your client's height and weight. You'll also want to know that if your client has lost any weight in the last 12 months, the carrier is going to add half of that weight loss back in. So for example, if your client tells you that they lost 40 pounds over the last year, the carrier is going to add 20 pounds to their current weight. Be sure to be as detailed as possible when it comes to medications. Collect the names and dosages of any medications your client takes, find out when it was prescribed, and definitely find out why they are taking that medication. Some medications have multiple uses, so it's very important to find out why they're taking it. Does your client have any illnesses or diseases that we need to be aware of? If so, when were they diagnosed and what was the diagnosis? What treatments and medications were suggested and did they follow the doctor's orders? Are they still being treated? If so, how long do they anticipate being treated for? If they are not, when was the last time they did receive any treatment? And what is their prognosis now? We need to find out if your client has had any parents or siblings diagnosed with cancer, diabetes, stroke, or heart disease. If so, which family member was it? What was their diagnosis? If it was cancer, you definitely need to find out exactly what type of cancer it was. How old was the family member when they were diagnosed? And did the family member pass away? If so, how old were they when they passed away? Driving record will come into play as well. When you submit the application, make sure your client knows that the carrier is going to run a motor vehicle report. So we need to find out if your client has any driving history we need to be aware of. Do they have any tickets? If so, how many? What were they for and when did they receive them? Have they ever had their license suspended or revoked? If so, what was the reasoning behind that? For instance, it could have been a DUI or a reckless driving. Do they have their license back or is it still suspended or revoked? If they got it back, when did they get it back? If they haven't gotten it back yet, when do they anticipate getting their driver's license back? Has your client ever been charged with any misdemeanors or felonies? If so, what were the charges? When did it happen? Was there any jail or prison time? And also, was there any probation or parole? If so, are they still on probation or parole? And when do they anticipate getting off? If they've been released from those, when were they released? You'll also want to ask about financial history for your client. Have they ever filed bankruptcy? And if so, what chapter did they file? Has it been discharged? If so, when was it discharged? If not, when do they anticipate the discharge happening? You'll also want to ask if they have any tax liens or collections in their background, and if they answer yes, get as many details on those as possible as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to another one of our training videos. We really appreciate this. If you have any questions and need any help, please feel free to call or email us and we'll make sure to get you the answers that you need as quickly as possible. Thank you so much and have a great day.